Hi, everyone. This is Pinar. Today, I have with me Randy Klein from Klein Network Services in Canada. Thanks so much, Randy, for joining me.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Where are you based, Randy?
I'm based in a place called Newmarket, Ontario, which is about a half hour north of Toronto, Ontario.
How is the weather there right now?
It's really warm and really bright.
I moved to Miami 4 weeks ago from New York City, and I'm still trying to get used to the heat, to be honest. It's not the best time to move to Miami.
It's warm.
Yeah, it's really warm, but it is what it is. So, Randy, as an MSP and then as a Timus partner, tell me a bit about Klein Network Services. What type of clients do you guys have? When did you start it?
Sure.
So is there a certain sector,
Yep, I started my business about 31 years ago. And funny enough, I was a programmer at the time. I was writing scripts for people that were trying to make their computers run faster. I was building computers on top of my freezer in the basement beside the dryer, which wasn't the greatest, but that's my humble beginnings. From there, we branched out into servicing businesses, involved with servers, involved with user experience, helping people with different programs, looking at things to make things look better, more efficient, more timely, looking at cost and their return on investment, not just from the perspective of how much money they would be saving, but from the perspective of how much more time they would have free. Now, the funny part was that most of these people, when we freed up time, they focused on making more money, so they never really had any free time. And we ended up working harder because they moved from 5 days a week to 6 days a week, and in some cases, 7 days a week. So we've done this for many years, and it's probably the more so the last 8 to 10 years where we moved more into the MSP. We enjoy what we do. We enjoy helping the customers out, and it's very different working as an MSP than it is just being a person going from business to business. Now we're looking at 24/7. How is this all going to play out in the background? What sort of things do we need to take into account? Before we would do maintenance once a month or once every 2 weeks for some of these customers. And now it's 24/7. We've got tickets coming in, different things that need to be dealt with. And once again, we enjoy this. We enjoy dealing with customers, but it's a very different world now from what it was 31 years ago.
Oh my God, I can imagine, especially with the pace, right? Like with the artificial intelligence now, with all the vendors doing like different things.
Yeah.
And are you really involved with the clients as well, like on a day-to-day basis? Like, how does your day work now that you're the CEO of the company?
I still like to be in touch with the clients. I need to understand what's happening in the businesses, how they're being affected, what's working, what's not working. A lot of times, for example, what my technicians would make sense to them doesn't always play out the same in the workspace. So a good example is releasing something new like a spam filter. We're doing that right now. We hadn't thought of this one company, how it would affect one client. And right now, we're adapting, and that's not the way it works with all the clients, but it's the way it's worked with this client. So being an MSP means doing the same thing quite frequently, but it can never be fully cookie cutter because there's different challenges with different clients. But we love the challenge of doing different things, and I think we'd be very bored if we just doing the exact same thing, bacon and eggs every single day. So what we're doing has worked very well for us and our clients, and we pick up new clients and we learn stuff and we adapt. And best way of describing it is, as soon as we figure we've landed, a security issue happens, or there's something we need to learn about AI, or even the services we're providing as an MSP, the one that was good today, the question becomes, will it still be good tomorrow? And this has been a real big struggle, is settling on systems that will work and we will use long term. And that's one of the reasons I liked dealing with you guys, was, to be really honest, I'd known people in your company for years and knew how they did work, and the focus on the MSP and the relationship first as opposed to just the contract. And that's really what drew us to Timus.
I really love hearing that, because as a company, what we are trying to do is not transactional relationships, right? But become a long-term partner with our MSP or MSSP partners. And Randy, what type of clients do you serve? Are they heavily like in a certain sector, or is it across the sectors?
So once again, I never like to get bored. So, we do some legal, we do some accounting, we do a lot of manufacturing, we do construction. It's a lot of different. My goal when I set up the business was not to focus on one vertical. So I had friends that did manufacturing. There's a cycle that happens and the economy crashes. So when that happens, manufacturing is hit hard, and the people are doing manufacturing or retail do a lot of scrambling. I found that legal worked very well for me because regardless of what's happening, lawyers are either suing or someone's getting divorced or someone's buying a business or someone's selling a house or buying a house.
Like a
So yeah,
recession-proof area, right?
did some work for years for traffic ticket companies that fix tickets whenever people were speeding or whatever. Did any sort of business you can think of, we've done work for over the years, and we love the diversity. But it's very important to have more than one vertical in your basket, especially when you never know what's going to change. I mean, COVID was the big thing that said to us, oh, you decided that retail was great for you. All the stores are shut down. Oh, lawyers, on the other hand, lawyers are always open. So they shut down too, and they slowed down for a period of time. But we picked key industries that were a mix of essential and non-essential, and manufacturing and professional. And we found that this mix, no matter what happened, we still survived. And, we survived COVID. We went through that, and, a lot of good things to learn and mistakes to make. But the last 5 to 10 years have really defined who we've become as a business.
Yeah, 100%. And how do you go about finding new clients? Is it usually by referral, or do you have a marketing arm? Like, how does that work?
We've always done best with referral. Our clients are happy with the work that we do, so they're happy to refer us. It's marketing is great as well too. And I've been involved with different clubs over the years where referrals go back and forth, and that's worked really well. But we found that word of mouth means asking as well too, not just counting on it, but going to clients and saying, do you have 3 or 4 other businesses you deal with that could use someone like us? And we picked up a couple of small firms in the last few weeks, and the main reason was we called around and saw who knew somebody that did this. They were very happy. They told us about you. And by the way, the other 3 companies I work with, none of them have anybody they know or trust. Will you do work for them? And I said, I would be very happy to. And this is how word of mouth marketing works. But, at the rate that some MSPs want to grow, realistically, marketing outside of that is huge. But I prefer word of mouth. I know my clients are qualified when they come to me. But realistically, with what we do now, a lot has changed. In some cases, we're not seeing some of these clients face to face. They don't live near us. They're living in very diverse areas. And without constant contact with these people, what makes us any different from anybody else? And that really comes back to, once again, the relationship building aspect of the business.
Yeah.
And some people excel at it, and other people go from client to client to client. I've got clients that are still there from 25, 30 years ago. And it's because it's been a strong focus on getting to know the people, what's important to them, helping them to deliver success to their people. And quite honestly, we don't just do IT. I get pulled into HR. I get pulled into marketing for them as a business owner. And what we do is we focus on the success of their business, because without that, we don't succeed. We have to keep looking for clients over and over and over again, right?
Yeah. I like to say, at the end of the day, everything is personal, I mean, yes, we are in business and so on, but I think like this authenticity, like showing that you care about the other person and their business, is trying to create win-win solutions.
Critical.
Yeah, it's really critical, especially as we just talked about, if you're trying to do more than just transactional here and there type of business. And so when you choose a vendor, how do you go about then expanding that footprint to all of your clients? Or like, what's the process there in terms of, hey, okay, I decided that this is a service that I want to get into. Like, what's next once you do that?
Well, typically we want to go through demos and we want to spend a bunch of time learning. I mean, you guys had an advantage over other people with the fact that you had Jared working with you, and I'd known him for quite a while, and I consider him to be, he's a friend. We've been through some interesting times, and we enjoy talking to each other. But typically, I'm known as the question man, so I will call up and I will ask a lot of questions, and sometimes it'll be a couple sessions, and they'll say, this has been really interesting. This is good. This will help us with marketing. It's a better understanding of what you're coming across. I'm like, well, why wouldn't I ask you questions? We need to know where you've had success, where you guys have struggled, and what you've done to succeed in the areas that you've struggled. I mean, we all struggle. I mean, let's call a spade here, but a lot of places I can tell quickly whether they can answer my questions, or if they're honest, they'll say, let's get one of our techs on the phone, or let's ask some questions. And that's been our experience with Timus as well, too. Other places, it's just basically, if someone says to me, here's the instructions, just follow them, they're not the right fit for us.
Well,
They need to be able to answer questions.
Yeah. And what once you do choose a vendor, I'm assuming you bundle that into your existing stack. And is that the goal is really to deploy that solution across a larger customer base, or do you go client by client? Hey, certain use cases are only applicable to certain clients.
So I'm a value seller. So realistically, what it comes down to is, if I sell you something you don't really need, eventually you're going to say, why are you selling me stuff I don't need? What else are you selling me that I don't need? So the cookie cutter approach makes sense from the perspective, everybody needs an antivirus. Everybody needs an anti-spam. Some people will need a VPN. Some people won't need a VPN.
Yeah.
So in those cases, we'll look towards, we've been doing some free VPN solutions that have their issues, a lot of issues. And we're looking at, once again, Timus has been the one we've looked at as being a good solution, well-rounded. But with most solutions, we're not cookie cutter. They go to everybody unless it's antivirus, anti-spam.
Yeah.
Backup is pretty critical. And some people say to me, we don't really need backup. And I go, right?
Yeah, and I guess it also depends a bit on the client, and if they really need compliance, or for example, manufacturing, right? Like they cannot afford, at least that's what I'm assuming, they cannot afford to be shut, right? They need to work 24/7 perhaps. So I think if they were breached, the results can be catastrophic. So for those type of clients, maybe, zero trust security is even more important than for some others.
Some people learn faster than others. I remember having a customer years ago where they'd lost all their data. They were a smaller company. And I said, guys, what are we going to do? They said, I guess we're going to have to do a data recovery. They spent a huge amount of money. So they got their data back. The second time it happened, I said, guys, you're slow learners. We're going through this now for the second time. And the third time I realized that it wasn't really important to them. It was painful. Their business really struggled in a lot of ways because to them, it was a cost. And forgetting about the cost of downtime and the cost to do recovery. And they did lose data. I mean, and there's other people, they don't think that something like a secure backup or antivirus is important until they've had a breach, and then they go overboard. When I say overboard, they're probably where they need to be, but compared to other customers where they'll say, what do we really need to do? Give me a menu, and you're saying 8 things, I only want to do 4 of them. And I go, okay, you really need 8. So we're putting 4 in and we're working towards the other 4. And some people will never go beyond that.
Yeah.
And they get themselves in trouble again, then they'll go up to 7 or 8. But a lot of people they'll roll the dice is what they do. They figure that what's the point of me doing this? It's going to happen to somebody else. And so I've had conversations with much smaller businesses, and the latest conversation with regards to security and what's happening is people say, I need to change stuff now. It's not a hardcore pitch. It's not an elevator pitch. I tell them about 3 or 4 stories of what's happened and the effect it's had on businesses. And, in some cases, it becomes large fines, or it can be closures of the business, or, having your business shuttered by taking risks, like not taking insurance, for example.
Yeah.
And there's people that do this. There's people that drive their car with no license, figuring that they're not going to get in trouble. But
And especially in a business too, you have your employees, right? It's not even like your life only. I mean, obviously, as a business owner, your
correct.
business is incredibly important, but there are employees and their families, and
There's impact.
you're taking a huge risk in terms of impact. But yeah, cybersecurity is really a cost center, and it's. I like to say this, I never usually get a flu shot. This year, I had the worst flu, Randy, and I got pneumonia after getting the flu. Next year, my GP keeps telling me, Pinar, you need a flu shot, you have asthma, and I'm like, ah. Next year, I'm getting the flu shot, pneumonia shot. I'm getting like all the shots because it was like horrible. I was bedridden for 3 weeks. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of cybersecurity. You think it's not going to happen to you. But when it does happen, it really, really affects your life. So Randy, thank you so much. I mean, this is just, it's fireside. It was lovely meeting you and talking with you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.